Hello and welcome to the Athlete Podcast, where we examine the high-performance habits of current and former athletes, successful business minds, and spiritual thought leaders, as well as lifestyle entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Alex Demczak, and today on episode 1, we interview college basketball player Jontay Porter. As you'll hear today in our interview, he's had a successful college career. He comes with a lot of notoriety. He's a great guy to listen to. He talks a little bit about his faith journey, where he's at today, some of the trials that he's had to overcome here recently, and then he has some big decisions coming up, whether to stay in college or to go to the NBA. And so we're really excited that Jontay joined us. Thank you guys for tuning in. There's a lot of great notes and nuggets you're going to take from this interview. And ladies and gentlemen, Jontay Porter.
Please listen carefully.
Jontay, thank you so much for joining us, and just the difference that you've made and your family's made in the state of Missouri is just awesome. And so thanks for being here. And how are things going for you here lately?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. Things have been good. I've been here for about a week. I was living in Denver with Mike doing rehab on my knee for the first injury. And then after I got hurt, I came back just because my mom is taking care of me. I can't drive myself, so yeah, I'm kind of dependent on my family right now. So I'm here doing rehab, which has been great, and enjoying the beautiful weather here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just for people that don't know your story, I mean, you have so many siblings, so many so that, I mean, you guys can have like a full basketball game with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, what's it like to grow up with so many brothers and sisters and just an awesome family?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been amazing. 8 of us, 8 kids. So, like you said, you can play a 5-on-5 game with the parents, and we did that sometimes. So, just growing up, always having somebody to play with, somebody to play basketball, just do anything. You don't really have any peace and quiet. So, it's a blessing and a curse. You can get annoyed sometimes, but it's been amazing, and my 7 siblings have grown up to be my best friends. So, I'm really thankful for that.
Like, how do y'all, now that you guys are all going your different ways, you know, Mike went to the NBA, you'll be going to the NBA, and, you know, everyone's going their own different way. Do you guys have, like, a group text? Like, how do you even, like, communicate with each other?
Yeah, there's a fam group chat. It's active almost every day. So, it's been good. We've all been keeping in touch because, like you said, here in the next few years, most of us will kind of be out of the house. So, it's going to be a crucial time for us to just stay in touch and really just keep those friendships when we get older.
That's awesome. A lot of emojis that you guys are texting that group chat, just keeping it lit.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, the position that you've been in, and really a lot of your family members, just you guys are so gifted at the game of basketball, and just so talented, and you guys have such a huge platform, and I guess what's it like to be kind of under the microscope a little bit? Obviously, you're very tall in stature, so when you walk around, people know who you are and things like that. But what's it like to, I guess, maybe the pressure at times, or is it pressure to you? And what's that like to kind of be who you are every day?
Like you said, I mean, we play basketball at University of Missouri, so obviously people know who you are, but when also you're 6'10" and a big guy, that just adds to it. So, yeah, there is a little bit of pressure almost to, because like you said, everything's under a microscope. Everybody's watching what you're doing, what you're tweeting. You just have to be mindful at all times. But I see it more of just an opportunity, like a platform, because everybody's looking at what I'm doing as almost a role model, for good or bad. So I'm just trying to do my best just to be a positive influence on the people that do pay attention to me. And that's been, I think, a family kind of just goal for all of us, because many of us are under that microscope here in Columbia.
And you mentioned tweeting. Like, would you say that for you, social media, is it a tool? Is it a distraction? Like, what are your views on, and for people listening that maybe spend way too much time on social media, like, what are your views on that as an athlete?
I'd say it's a little bit of both, depending on how you approach it. For me, it's been both. It's been up and down. About 3 times I've just deleted the apps totally and just taken like a fast from social media for about a month or so, just because that stuff can rule your life sometimes if you're on your phone constantly looking at tweets. But on the other side, it is everybody's on their phones looking at what you're saying. They care about what you think. So Twitter can be an amazing platform, Instagram, all that, just for people to get to know you off the court, because they see you on TV playing basketball, but those fans really want to know who you are, what you're about. And I think social media is a great platform for that. You just have to be cautious of, I guess, the downsides to it.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to kind of touch on a little bit, just some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome. I mean, you've been through a lot. You were training for the draft. You got injured. And then, you recently got injured again, but you've been doing great with rehab and things are looking great. But I guess what's that been like for you? Because obviously, as positive as you are, there has to be dark days where it's tough and you're like, why me type mentality. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, there definitely has been those days. On the outside, I'm all cheery and everything. I'm just trying to stay positive, which I think is a good thing. But those dark days do come. They're coming less and less frequently just because of the support system I have and people I talk to. But I think it's only natural to have those negative thoughts sometimes, like, why me? Why did this have to happen? Not once, but twice in 4 months.
Yeah.
But really just having the mindset that, one, God promises everything will work out for the good, and two, it's just basketball, and I could say it's just my knee. And I'm out for a year, which sucks, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm working for an eternity. So when I look at the grand scheme of things, really 1 year of not doing what I love, it's just an opportunity to grow in other areas. So that's how I'm kind of looking at it. Obviously, that's not the natural way to think about it, so I do have those days where I'm thinking, this sucks, life sucks, but I do my best to try to stay grounded with that mindset.
That's awesome. And I remember Tim Tebow, they were interviewing him when he was playing for the Florida Gators, and they asked him this after he won a Heisman Trophy, and they said, what's it like to have all the pressure that you have on a daily basis? And he was like, pressure? Pressure is when I go and visit the Philippines on a mission trip and I meet a kid who doesn't have clean drinking water. Like that's pressure. And I think you kind of just spoke to that. Like, there are bigger things in life than basketball.
For sure. At the end of the day, it's just a sport. Obviously, it's going to be my career, so it is important.
Right.
But in terms of grand scheme of things and big picture, it's minuscule.
And I heard a quote recently. It said, trials are not meant to define us. They're meant to refine us. And obviously, you've gone through a lot of trials lately. Do you feel like you've been refined and sharpened maybe and had some time for yourself during this time? For
sure. I do love that quote. I haven't heard it before, but I think I've been refined in a lot of areas, mostly spiritual though. I don't know if that's the reason why I got hurt, if God was trying to, pull at my heart to get me back to Him. I'd say I've had a pretty solid relationship with God. My whole life I've grown up in the church and I have a great family, but during these times, you have unlimited free time, and I guess basketball had become kind of my idol in a way. Everything kind of revolves around that. I'm trying to get school done as quick as possible to go play basketball. I'm not going to hang out with friends because I want to play basketball. I'm not spending time with God because I want to play basketball. So when you get that taken away, it just gives you extra time to do, I guess, refine yourself in that area. And I think that's been probably the biggest thing since I did get injured, is just getting closer to God.
That's great. And there's a guy named Alan Stein Jr. He co-founded Pure Sweat basketball training. Okay, and with Drew Hanlon and those guys. And so he talked about a story about how he was at one of Kobe Bryant's camps, and he asked Kobe, "Can I watch you train tomorrow morning? Can I watch how you work out?" And Kobe's like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "What time?" He said, "All right, 5 a.m." So he tells him 5 a.m. And Alan, he thinks he's gonna get there early, so he shows up like 4:30. He's like, I don't want to be late, in front of Kobe. And he gets there at 4:30. The lights at the gym were already on, and he gets down there. Kobe's drenched in sweat, already been working out, and he talks about it in a book he just released. He talks about how for the next 2 hours he watched Kobe do these drills, and he was bored out of his mind because he's like, here's this Hall of Famer doing the little things. Like, he even said drills that guys who were in high school or in middle school would do, like the simple basic drills. And I think Kobe talking about that situation, that story, it's like you have to be willing to do the little things, the things that people don't see, to become better at your craft. And I think, what would you say for you are some things that you try to focus on, obviously through the rehab and just you as a player, that you try to focus on the little things, maybe when no one's even watching? What are the little things that you try to improve in your life and your basketball?
Well, for basketball, I think that's one of the things my dad's taught us from an early age, is the fundamentals are what's going to separate you and everybody else. And I think that's been the case. So whenever we go to work out with him or by ourselves, because it's habit now, we're doing form shots, just one-handed form shots to keep our form good. We're doing the ball handling that you do as a second grader. Just stuff like that, just continually to hone your craft, because if you don't, you'll get rusty in those things. You'll try to be too flashy. And I think that's true in basketball and in life. When you're not I guess when you're just being over ambitious and you're not staying grounded to what has made you who you are, especially with your faith and spirituality and everything, just doing those little things, having those habits of waking up every day, making your bed, reading your Bible, praying before you eat, those are small things, and if you skip a day, that might not be an issue, but for me at least, I've always tried to just continually the repetition is key in those areas, in basketball and life.
Absolutely, and those little things turn into big things.
For sure.
And big habits, absolutely. And who, obviously the NBA is on the horizons for you. Who is an NBA player that you think you maybe emulate, or you kind of, play like, or you'd like to play like when you watch NBA?
I'd say, I've thought about this a lot. The NBA teams are asking me this too. I never really have an answer because I don't think there's a player in the NBA who isn't like a copy of me, basically. There's players I want to take little things from, like Nikola Jokic. He's on Michael's team. I've gotten to watch him. He's an amazing player. Him and Kevin Love are probably the two players that I want to emulate the most, just because Kevin Love's a great shooter, great passer. Obviously Jokic, the Joker, is an amazing passer. He's not very athletic. I think I'm a little more athletic than him, but he's a huge dude, and he knows how to use his body. So if I can ever get near their level of skill, I'll be happy.
That's great. And I heard your college coach, Conzo Martin, he talked about, they were asking him about you as a future pro, and he had said, Jontay has the potential, to be a 12, 15-year guy in the NBA if you want to do that. And, what he talked about in the interview was, your ability to add value in all areas. And he talked about your rebounding, your assists, your passing ability, your hustle. And what he said was pretty much the NBA scouts who are looking at you and watching you, they know that you're adding value in all different areas and all different facets of the game, and not every player is able to do that. So what are some, skills that you feel like you're pretty confident that you bring to the next level that are just going to be exciting for us to all watch?
Well, that was very nice of Coach Martin to say. 12, 15 years, I'll be very happy. So I don't know, though. I think, like you said, I think I just do a lot of little things pretty good. I'm not going to score 30 points a night like my brother or anything. I'm not going to be getting 20 blocks, 30, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be doing that, but I think just the little things, getting steals, getting blocks. I think my biggest thing is just getting everybody to be better, whether that be assists or handling the rock, just running the offense through me. I think when I'm on the floor, it just makes things easier for other people. That doesn't mean I'm scoring every time or I'm having the ball in my hands every possession, but I think I just take the load off of people, which is obviously very valuable in the NBA today.
Absolutely. And when you, like you just said, when you add value, when you make others better, everyone gets better in the process.
For sure.
And what's that been like to watch your brother Mike just get drafted by the Nuggets this past year? Like, what have you learned from him just kind of going before you and watching this all unfold? What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like I told you guys earlier, I was out in Denver doing rehab, so I was living with him, and it was great for our relationship, but I just got to see how he was handling the whole process, which I'm going to go through here pretty soon. So just being dedicated to your craft, that's your job now. You're getting paid to do that, so you want to be doing it to the best of your ability. And I think Michael's really taken huge strides in his maturity and just how he handles just the outside noise and the distractions, and really just him being a role model for me. He's shown me so many things and how I can become a better player, and how to handle my money, how to invest in relationships despite you being who you are, because there's a lot of people out there just trying to be friends with you because who you are. So just discerning who's fake, who's real, I think has been really big for me too. So I'm super thankful that I have a brother that's been in the NBA before me, because not too many people can say that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had even heard from someone that he even has a kind of a buddy there with him sometimes that travels. Like, what's behind that? Just to have someone with him as he travels?
Mostly just to have somebody to hold him accountable, because I mean, we're all guys, we all have temptations and everything, and it's multiplied tenfold when you're in the NBA just because of, I guess, who you are, being an NBA player. So Michael, his name's Kimbo. He actually lives with Mike. He's in San Antonio with him right now. He travels with Mike. He lives with them. And really just to have a buddy there, because you can get boring if you have all that free time. And just to have somebody to hold them accountable, to kind of motivate each other to grow in their faith.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. And, you look at, you watch professional sports and you see, or even college sports, you see players who are outward with their faith, and you look at a guy like Steph Curry, who you guys know, and things like that, and just an awesome example of just living out their faith. How do you think moving forward in the NBA for you that how important is it to you to live out your faith through your sport?
As we said earlier, like, everybody's watching what you're doing. So whether or not you're very outspoken about your faith, people are going to tell if you're different or not. And I think everybody can see Steph is different, whether or not you're listening to his interviews about him being a Christian. Just the way he performs, the way he's honoring God through his sport, I think is a big motivation for me. It doesn't have to be me tweeting scriptures or anything. It can just be me treating people nicely, building a reputation, and I guess just living out that faith on and off the court.
Absolutely. And I think and you kind of hit on it earlier, but I think in life, whenever things don't go our way, maybe someone out there, you don't get the promotion at work, you fail a test at school, you get injured in your sport, I think it's really easy to say, kind of have the why me mentality of, it wasn't supposed to happen this way. Yeah. And I guess after, not everyone can relate to your, not everyone's, has an NBA future like you do. And I guess what has it been like, and what has been your focus after the second injury, going through that? Now you're, recovering and things are headed upward. But I guess how have you what's been your focus each day?
My focus, well, one, to be patient. I think that's the one thing that caused me to have a second injury is lack of patience, and that's one of the biggest virtues anybody can practice. It doesn't have to be basketball; it can just be life in general. So I think just practicing patience and really just taking my time with this thing, nurturing my knee back to 100% health. Like you said, I do have an NBA future, so I want to make sure I get all the miles I can out of these legs. But I'm really there's a lot of negatives to it. You can have a negative mindset about it, but just like Michael, I mean, he was obviously heading into college, the number one player in the country. He gets drafted 14 because of injury, and then he ends up in an amazing situation in Denver. So I'm just trying to keep a positive outlook that maybe this is happening for a reason, for me to get drafted by a team that really is invested in me, kind of like Denver is in Michael. So there's a lot of negatives, but just focusing on the positives and the potential positives has been a big focus for me.
Absolutely. And during the time that you've been injured, and the time that you should have been playing, but you had to be on the sidelines for that time. I remember there's there was a song by Trip Lee. He talked about, he's a Christian rapper, and he talked about I will still praise him while in the waiting room. And I think that's kind of equivalent to your story. Like, you're still trusting in God through what you're going through, and this is what is happening for a reason. And I think what was that like, being away, maybe even from the team, in college this whole last year, being away from teammates? Was there times where that was pretty tough? For
sure. That whole praising him in the waiting room thing, it sounds great, but it's a lot harder to do, practice every day. And I'm sitting up here saying I'm focusing on the positive and everything, but I want to make it clear, it's still very hard to continually to praise God throughout this, because sometimes you're thinking, I should be in the NBA right now, I should have gone last year, this wouldn't have happened. But it has been tough, because you can feel lonely sometimes, and they're all in the group chat goofing around and everything, and then you just don't really know what to do because you aren't really a part of the team anymore. So they've all been great. They've all reached out to me often, just checking in on me, seeing how I'm doing, but it's still not the same as, being in Columbia, being around the team, celebrating their victories with them. So it can get tough at times, and it kind of just puts another weight on your shoulders of everything else that kind of sucks in the moment. But I'm thankful for a great team that's just invested in me, even though I'm not playing for them and helping them out,
Yeah, for sure. And, you're obviously in the public spotlight a lot. What would you say is one of the most different or weird requests that you've got? Do you have people come up to you all the time, or DMing you just saying crazy stuff? What's that been like?
Yeah, sometimes. You get crazy DMs all the time, but I think one of the things, and I still do get some crazy ones time to time, but when you build, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but when you build a reputation that you're not into some of those things that most high-level basketball players are, those things kind of reduce themselves. So I don't have as many random girls DMing me, offering some crazy stuff, just because they kind of know what I'm about and who I am. So that's not like me trying to say I'm the coolest, the best dude in the world, but I think when they realize I'm not into that stuff, they stop offering. And like I said, I still get crazy ones sometimes, like offering drugs if I give them a shout out or something.
What?
Yeah, free. But no, it's gotten easier for sure.
People are crazy out there,
for
man.
sure. Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable, man. And I guess this is probably when you think about the type of person you want to be in life, you almost have to think about, look forward and look long term and kind of re-engineer things. And so I guess when you think about your life, at the end of your life, what would you want people to say about Jontay Porter?
Mm-hmm. That's tough, but I would say, like I said earlier, basketball isn't everything, and obviously I want to be the best basketball player I can, and if I do accomplish that, a lot of people know who I am because of basketball. But I guess at the end of the day, I just want people to know me for who I am as a person instead of a basketball player. Just be more well known for being a nice guy, caring about others, helping out others instead of, wow, he was one of the best players ever. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that'll be tough to do, but I'm hoping that I can just make a lasting impact on people outside of basketball.
And you obviously have a lot of decisions coming up. You got a lot of things going in your life. Where are you going from here? Like, what does that look like for you?
In terms of basketball, you mean? Or
Basketball
just in general?
life, yeah.
I don't know. This next 3 months, I think, is really just going to determine the rest of my life in a way. Obviously, I got to make the decision, I guess. I don't know what the date is.
I think
but
it's like 3 days from now.
the 21st
Yeah.
is when you got to decide on what you're doing. So I'll have to make that decision probably in the next day or so. And then after that,
How do you even process a decision like that?
it's so hard because, like, obviously I haven't played basketball in so long.
Right.
Teams that need a player right away probably aren't going to draft me because I'm probably going to take a redshirt year,
Right.
Unless I were to rush things back, which I don't want to do. So
Right.
if I do get drafted, it will probably be by a contending team,
Yeah.
a really high-level team. So I
Which
don't
is
know
awesome,
what.
which
Yeah,
is cool.
which is good. I'll take a ring for free. But I'll be sitting on the sideline, and I guess it'll come down to medicals. I'll go to the combine, get checked out. They'll make sure my knee's healthy, and if that's the case, then teams will start talking to whoever I sign with as an agent, and they'll figure out where I'll go. Hopefully I get drafted. If not, I can always come back to Mizzou due to the new rules. So I think what I'm going to do is put my name in the draft just like last year, but maintain my eligibility so that if I were to not get drafted, I can still come back to Mizzou and then help contribute and hopefully one day play in the NBA.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what would you say is your last piece of advice here for people listening, who maybe who find themselves they don't know where they're at in their life. Maybe they're in a rut at work with family. Maybe they don't know faith-wise where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say just as an encouragement, just from the things that you've gone through and experienced? Like, what would be maybe an encouragement, just as you want Jontay Porter's advice to someone out there listening?
Well, I would say, there's people with a lot worse conditions than I do. I've torn my ACL twice in 4 months, and maybe I might play in the NBA, I might not, I don't know. But I would say, for me, and I guess everyone else out there, to focus on, I guess, the bigger things in life. If somebody dumps you, it sucks in the moment, but it's not the end of the world. You lose your job, yeah, it's awful, but there's going to be another job out there. And for me, I tear my ACL, I'll be out for a year, but there's more to life than just the dark times. Like, there's going to be hills and valleys in life. And I say, if you can teach yourself how to get out of those valleys and to just, I guess, focus on the bigger things in life, that's been crucial for me. That's how I've been able to stay so positive in this situation. And I think that'll help out a lot of people, whether they're religious or not, is just to focus on that bigger outlook in life and see how small these little things that bother us day to day are.
I think you might have a future in public speaking maybe after that.
We'll see.
Well, hey, man, thanks so much for joining us, and we're excited to hopefully be watching you the next 12 to 15 years maybe.
Yes, sir.
So.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.